Ricky Gervais has been exposing Hollywood's upper elite for years, but you know the story. No one listens. He's told us about people like Ellen DeGeneres, Oprah Winfrey, Tom Hanks, Jay-Z. Today, I want to tune into this and talk to you guys about exactly what he has been trying to tell us. Let's tune in.
And Ricky Gervais, he warned every single one of them years ago, right to their faces. He looked a room full of Hollywood's most powerful people dead in the eye and told them, they're coming for you.
Literally calling everyone out at the award ceremony, saying he's not, it's being put together as a joke, but he is not joking. He knows that Epstein is friends with many of the people out in the crowd. Let's take a look at some of their faces.
I know you clicked because you want to know the truth, and that's exactly what you're going to get. Because this isn't just about Ricky Gervais making funny jokes at awards shows. This is about a man who stood in a room full of Hollywood's most powerful people and told them what was coming before anyone else had the guts to say it out loud. By the time you finish this video, you're going to see exactly which names Ricky pointed at and why those same names are now keeping a very low profile.
This is exactly what we want to see.
You're going to see the pattern, and once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it.
He kept asking you back to do those awards, and the actual actors and actresses in the audience, they looked terrified at the idea of you mentioning their name. Did you feel that?
I did, and I noticed it the first time. I didn't get it. Like, one of the first one I did it, people would come up and say, what are you going to say about me? I think, why do you care? I only go after their public behaviours. I don't, expose anything about them or...
It's very true. When he does do this, he's not going and saying, Tom Hanks did this on Epstein Island to these people. No, it's very general. It's a soft joke, but it's definitely poking the bear at the truth of what's actually going on. So I could see why a lot of these celebrities are nervous if they're going to be the next ones called out.
Nothing that bad.
What made you think, you know what, I'm just going to hammer him?
When they said, do you want to host the Golden Globes, all that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, I'm going to write my own jokes. Right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room or the 200 million people watching at home who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires?
But before we get into the names, you need to know what's actually going on. Because if you don't have the background, none of this will make sense. Don't worry, I will keep it short. Now, I'm not going to go so deep into who is Epstein and what he did, but the thing that only matters is he died in prison. And the official story is suicide. And a lot of people, including Ricky Gervais, have never bought that story. The Epstein files are court documents, FBI records, and flight logs that name the people connected to him. Here's the problem. A huge chunk of those files are still sealed or covered in black marks. We're talking 70 to 80% of some documents still hidden from the public.
Although at this point in time, right now, as we're making this video, more and more of these are being exposed. And with that, more and more people that maybe you look up to are also being exposed. And it's going to be a mess that's incoming really soon.
So when people say a name isn't in the files, that's not the full picture. There's a lot we simply haven't been allowed to see yet. Right now, the files are slowly being released, and Epstein survivor Lisa Phillips went on live TV and said she has her own list. She looked straight into the camera and said she knows exactly who was involved, and she's not afraid to say it.
And what's being done? What's being done about that? We're hearing more of our own American people being exposed in other countries than being exposed here in America. And why is that? It's because everyone's covering it up.
Conspiracy is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law.
True.
And then there's Ricky Gervais, a British comedian and writer who hosted the Golden Globes multiple times and used every single one of those stages to fire shots at Hollywood through jokes, punchlines, comedy. But as you're about to see, those jokes were never just jokes.
No, they weren't.
The man who said it first. Let's go back to the 2020 Golden Globes. Picture the room, Hollywood's biggest names, all dressed up, sitting right there. And Ricky Gervais walks out and tells them all on live television that Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. The whole room went silent. You could feel the tension through the screen. And Ricky, he didn't flinch.
Why is everyone so nervous? Because Epstein holds all of the people in the audience's secrets. He blackmailed these people for years and years, having them do terrible things or involving them in terrible things that were going on. Everyone is fearful for their lives if this information will come out. So hearing that Epstein is alive is definitely something that is going to make them nervous.
He didn't backtrack. He basically looked at the room and said, I know he was your friend. I don't care.
I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you?
And Tom Hanks's face in that room, people on the internet have never forgotten it. The man looked like he wanted the floor to open up and swallow him whole. We'll come back to him in a minute. But this wasn't even the first time Ricky had done this. Go back to the 2012 Golden Globes. He stood up there and told the whole room they were terrified of journalist Ronan Farrow, the man who went on to expose some of the worst behavior Hollywood had been hiding for decades. That joke hit hard, and it was supposed to.
It's been an amazing year in show business. It's not all been good news. What's with all the divorces? What's going on? I mean, Arnold and Maria, J-Lo and Mark Anthony, Ashton and Demi, Kim Kardashian and some guy no one will ever remember. He wasn't around long. 72 days. A marriage that lasted.
Look who else is right here in the audience. A lot has been said about him as well. Leonardo DiCaprio. I actually have a video coming out on him soon. Make sure you don't miss it.
Lasted 72 days. I've sat through longer James Cameron acceptance speeches than that. Other celebrity scandal. Justin Bieber nearly had to take a paternity test. What a waste of a test that would have been. No.
Here's what Joe Rogan said about all of this. And when Joe Rogan gives someone their flowers, you listen. He said Ricky isn't up there telling jokes for claps. He's using comedy to say the quiet parts loud, to slip the truth right past you before you even realize what just happened.
The idea that a guy actually had a island. I mean, it's...
That's what Ricky Gervais was joking about last night. Did you watch
of course
that?
He was. Of course he was. No, but I did see the one clip that somebody put on the internet about him saying, don't virtue signal, just come out here and get your little prize, go off, because nobody cares about your opinion. I was like, thank you.
Ricky Gervais wasn't performing. He was warning them. And everything he pointed at is now unraveling, right in front of our eyes. Tom Hanks, going quiet at the worst possible time.
By the way, for context here, Tom Hanks, one of my favorite actors of all time. And this is something that a lot of us are seeing. Like, think about some of the people that you look up to the most, some of your favorite actors, actresses, personalities, politicians that you're seeing pulled into this type of stuff. It's actually pretty sad.
Now let's talk about Tom Hanks, because his face during that Epstein joke at the Golden Globes became one of the most talked about moments on the internet, and people are still talking about it. Here's what people are pointing to. A quick Google search will tell you his name isn't front and center in the files. But remember what we just talked about. 70 to 80% of those documents are still redacted.
Right.
The absence of a name right now is not a clean bill of health. It just means we haven't seen everything yet.
Hey guys, so Tom Hanks is in the Epstein files. Yes, and it seems to be pretty significant, as I will describe. So in this first example, it sounds like Tom Hanks was hanging out with Epstein. Let's go over what happened. So this is an email from Peggy Siegel to Epstein from 2013, well after Epstein's conviction, by the way. Peggy Siegel was the publicist for Epstein who had offered to bring Epstein back little boys or girls from a trip. And Peggy Siegel says to Epstein, if Tom Hanks is around, tell him his Walt Disney is a bit hit. I think she meant to say big hit, but it sounds like Tom Hanks may have been hanging out with Epstein around, I guess, this Thanksgiving time. Really sketchy. Remember that Epstein's first conviction was in 2008. This email is from 2013. And despite what people are trying to say, it was very well known that Epstein was a convicted offender of you know what.
Yeah, so this hangout with Tom Hanks apparently happened 5 years after Epstein was convicted of all the charges. So she's trying to say here, it was no secret.
Let's talk about the other places that Tom Hanks appears in the Epstein files. Oh wait, quick note on that first email. It was addressed to someone named David, who was apparently right off the coast of Jeffrey's private island.
There are also unverified claims circulating online that suggest his name does appear in the files, not front and center, but in passing, in a way that suggests he wasn't exactly a stranger to those circles. Now, what that actually means, that's still up for debate, but people have run with it, and it's not hard to understand why. Then there are rumors, still unconfirmed, that Hanks was denied entry into Greece over alleged Epstein connections. His team has denied it, but as we all know by now, a spokesperson's denial doesn't cool the internet down. What people are treating as more concrete is this. Tom Hanks has quietly canceled a string of public appearances. No press runs, no big interviews, no red carpets, just radio silence. And in the current climate, staying this quiet is not doing him any favors in the court of public opinion.
More to do with actor Tom Hanks in the midst of the release of over 3 million files, and millions more to come by the DOJ, roughly 2.5 million more looming. Now, after Hanks already made comments about the release of the files by turning it into an anti-Trump rant, after Hanks not only got tons of backlash, but also how his Trump rants made him appear suspicious. What's even more revealing now is that Tom Hanks canceled several appearances that were going to involve meet and greets with the audience and a full-on question and answer segment. It turns out that Hanks' entire team advised him to not attend these events in light of his recent comments about Trump and the DOJ after releasing over 3 million Epstein files. Now, the strategy for now is to essentially hide from fans or audience members as much as possible until the news cycle waters down, which will potentially ask questions about Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, what you'll typically hear a lot of the times, your PR is going to tell you, just hide out, let things blow over, let things calm down before you make any statements, because it's just going to bring more attention to yourself. Clearly what Tom Hanks's PR team is telling him to do. But all of this makes you think, no one wants to talk about this stuff because everyone's heavily implicated in it, which is crazy, because when you think about all of the terrible things that are going on in the world right now today and how few people are actually talking about them, it gives you an idea of the amount of people involved in everything relating to Epstein.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Ricky's favorite target. Now let's talk about one of Ricky's favorite targets, Leonardo DiCaprio. Because Ricky has taken shots at him more than once, and they were never random. They were very specific. The joke has always been about DiCaprio's well-documented pattern of dating women under 25. Clockwork, every single time. The internet has memed it to death, but underneath the jokes, people are genuinely raising their eyebrows.
I mean, he's a star. He's someone that everyone loves. He can get younger women if he wants them. A woman that's 25 years old, in my opinion, and even if he's a lot older, is not a big deal. It's not a minor. It's not even anywhere near a minor. It is an adult. So far, not a crime, not the worst thing in the world, but let's see how much deeper he goes.
Because when Ricky Gervais keeps circling the same person, there tends to be a reason. And here's where it gets serious. DiCaprio's name has reportedly shown up in the Epstein files. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. One of the most talked about details circulating online is that Epstein allegedly tried to set up a dinner between DiCaprio and Woody Allen. Woody Allen.
Yeah, now we know Woody Allen is pretty deep inside of this stuff too. We've been hearing that a lot lately.
If that combination of names doesn't make you stop for a second, I honestly don't know what will. DiCaprio has denied everything. He says he never visited the island and never knew Epstein personally. And maybe that's true, but here's the thing. The files are still mostly redacted. Could there be a connection buried in the sections we haven't seen yet? Possibly. Could details about that dinner arrangement be sitting in a sealed document right now? Also possibly. What we do know is that his name is in there. The dinner claim has been widely discussed online, and DiCaprio has been keeping an unusually low profile.
Again,
you can draw your own conclusions, but it's not nothing.
Files expose Leonardo DiCaprio swapping emails with Woody Allen where he brags about being a full-blown cannibal. In those messages, Leonardo openly discusses a cannibal diet and boasts that he put away over 70 pounds of meat in just 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
This same conversation is filled with grotesque code words for children. Repeated references to jerky appear throughout their exchange, with jerky widely interpreted as code for human flesh. In one email, instructions were given to transport the jerky in a cold insulated bag with ice, which is suspicious because standard dried jerky doesn't require refrigeration, unlike fresh human flesh would. Clearly, they are referencing the consumption of large amounts of human flesh, which they describe as jerky.
Oprah Winfrey, the woman Ricky was side-eyeing.
I just put a video out on Oprah 2 days ago, deep diving into this. Let's see what kind of crossover we have.
And then there's Oprah, big, beloved, untouchable Oprah Winfrey. The woman who built an empire on being in everyone's living room. The woman Ricky Gervais was almost certainly thinking about when he talked about the Hollywood insiders who know exactly what's going on and choose to say absolutely nothing. Because the allegations surrounding Oprah are not small. Epstein survivors have allegedly come forward and referred to her as the broker, someone who they claim played an active role in connecting young girls to Epstein and other wealthy, powerful men. That is an enormous accusation.
Oprah kept very, very bad company. As time goes on, you'll notice that many of the people that she was either recommending we go see, whether that be doctors, books that we read that are inappropriate, or people that she just hangs out with, such as a P. Diddy or a Weinstein. Just really, really bad company. And when you keep bad company, you may actually be a part of that bad company yourself.
And people are taking it seriously. But here's what makes this even harder to brush off. The John of God situation.
Yes.
Cast your mind back. Oprah Winfrey was one of the loudest, most enthusiastic public supporters of a Brazilian man named João Teixeira de Faria, better known as John of God. She endorsed him on her platform. She sang his praises. She brought him to mainstream attention in front of millions of people. He was later convicted of running a global baby operation. He was handed nearly 400 years in prison. 400 years. Let that sit for a second, and it gets worse. Claims circulating online allege that an Epstein document contains a statement from a woman who says Epstein offered her money to have babies. And in that same document, a direct connection is drawn between John of God, Epstein, and Oprah Winfrey. If that turns out to be accurate, that is a direct link between Oprah and two of the most notorious figures in child cases in recent history. Through all of this, Oprah has gone quiet. Very, very quiet. The woman who spent decades making sure the whole world could hear her voice has suddenly become very comfortable staying out of the public eye.
Again, another example of someone taking some heat and then hiding away from anything going on because that's what PR is telling them to do.
Jay-Z, the follower drop that tells its own story. Now we need to talk about Jay-Z, because this one hit different. Jay-Z has been keeping an extremely low profile lately. And when you look at what's been coming out of the Epstein files, you start to understand why. Here's the number that tells you everything. Jay-Z and Beyonce have reportedly shed around 10 million followers combined across their social media platforms. 10 million. That is not a small dip. That is not a bad week. That is people actively walking away from two of the biggest names in music and doing it on purpose.
It appears as though one of those poop splatters is Jay-Z. I mean, come on. One of Diddy's close friends wouldn't be doing this stuff, would he? Epstein files reveal this FBI report, which says in approximately 1994, revealed herself to blank as a past victim of sex abuse by Epstein. Blank described the abuse occurred during parties. In approximately 1996, blank resided with blank in blank, just to be specific.
Lots of blanks.
An unknown man abducted blank from her home when she later awoke in the presence of Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter, Jay-Z.
So what's in the files? Here's what's being reported. The claim comes from a 2019 FBI crisis intake report, a log of an unverified call made to an FBI tip hotline that was archived within the broader Epstein investigation files. Now, that's important context to understand. This is not a sworn statement. It's not a court document. It's a record of a phone call. But here's why people aren't dismissing it. An anonymous woman alleged that around 1996, she was abducted from her home and woke up in what she believed to be Epstein's Florida mansion. She claims she was in a room with two people, Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter, Jay-Z.
That is terrible company to be stuck in a room with.
She alleged she had been drugged, leaving her memory fragmented. And she claimed that while Jay-Z was present in that room, Harvey Weinstein sexually assaulted her. That is a devastating claim. And yes, it comes from an anonymous, unverified tip. But given how many claims once called unverified have slowly turned out to have legs, people are not letting this one go quietly. The follower drop alone tells you the court of public opinion has already started deciding what it thinks. The celebrities who are running, a pattern you can't ignore. Now here's where everything connects. Ricky Gervais wasn't just calling out individual people. He was pointing at a whole system. And right now, you can watch that system panic in real time. Because it's not just the names in the files. It's what the people connected to those files are doing right now. And when you look at the pattern, it's impossible to ignore.
I can't even cry during this survival episode because it's like Oprah Winfrey, she had these allegations going on for years. You know what I'm saying? And it's just very, very hideous and traumatizing to know that a lot of these things are starting to come out to be true.
Richard Gere just sold his massive compound in Connecticut, and he sold it at a loss. A multimillionaire selling below what he could have gotten.
Who are some other people that we know that are just continuously selling and moving and getting out of their houses? Ellen DeGeneres is one that I could think of.
Why would anyone do that? His team says he wants to be closer to his wife's family in Spain. Sweet story, but you don't panic sell a dream home unless you need to move fast. And the timing, exactly 1 month before the Epstein deadline, is very hard to explain away. Eva Longoria has been quietly slashing the price on her Beverly Hills mansion and moving her family between Spain and Mexico. When wealthy people suddenly drop their prices, it means they need to sell now. Not next month, now. She's doing the quiet exit, not making a big announcement, just slowly moving everything away. Rosie O'Donnell moved to Ireland and said she will never return to the United States. Ever. That's not a vacation. That's not politics. You don't say, I'm never coming back, unless something is chasing you. And Rosie's been a Hollywood insider for decades. She's been to the parties. She knows the people. So the question has to be asked, does she know what's in those files?
She also did a lot of exposing of terrible things that were happening. So in my opinion, she probably saw a lot of what was going on, but maybe she partook in it as well.
Ryan Gosling and Eva Mendes are reportedly looking at property in London. They haven't left yet, but the fact that they're even looking tells you something. Maybe they're the smart ones, getting out before the whole thing collapses. And these aren't random coincidences. When you see multiple famous people doing the same things at the same time, selling homes at a loss, moving to countries with no extradition treaties, going silent, disappearing, you're not watching bad luck. You're watching a pattern. This is what people do when they know something bad is coming. They prepare, they protect themselves, they run. If you've been following along from the very beginning, you already knew what time it was. And if you're just catching up now, better late than never. But one thing is certain. Ricky Gervais was telling the truth to the most powerful room in the world, dressed up as a punchline.
Yes, he was.
And not a single person could touch him for it. He deserves his flowers. We should have been paying closer attention from the very beginning.
Okay, were you in the audience for any of Ricky's Golden Globes?
Several times. It was a little bit...
I think it cuts to you in one of them.
I think when you talk about Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know why.
And to be honest with you, I think more names will be exposed and the worst is yet to come.